Let's proceed with the League of Nations. Last time we were looking at the failure of the League of Nations. Why did the League of Nations fail? And today we are looking at reasons or why Adolf Hitler finally decided to take Germany out of the League of Nations in 1933. Remember, this happened after the disarmament conference in which France proposed for a postponement of disarmament for a period of 8 more years. Germany withdrew from the League after the disarmament conference, whereby France decided or requested for an 8-year postponement in regard to disarming all the nations. When Hitler took over power in Germany, remember Hitler was a dictator. He was one of the dictators of that time. When he took over Germany had been a member in the League for a period of 8 years. Germany had been a member in the League for a period of 8 years after having joined the League in 1926. Germany was still not treated as an equal because no other country had so far disarmed or reduced the number of its weapons and the size of its troops. It was only Germany which was treated unfairly or harshly. Germany had been forced to disarm under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. It was only Germany which had been dealt a blow in the terms or under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, whereby Germany was to reduce the size of its troops to 100,000. The disarmament conference, which was held soon after the Manchurian crisis, had made no progress as far as the disarmament was concerned, which means there was no progress, there was no tangible result from the disarmament conference. As a result, Hitler decided to withdraw from the League because, according to Hitler, it was only Germany which was treated unfairly. It was only Germany which was treated unfairly because of being forced to disarm, and no other nation had so far disarmed. In brief, the League was linked closely to the Treaty of Versailles, and Hitler disliked the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which were harsh to Germany. The League had also failed to deal with general disarmament. The League could not force or could not convince other nations to disarm except for Germany. Germany was the only country that had so far disarmed. Why? Because Germany was threatened with resumption of another war. And according to Hitler, the League was very unfair to Germany. It was unfair and it was hostile. Hitler had already started rearming for revenge. He was preparing for revenge because he believed Germany had been treated unfairly. Hitler also followed the example of Japan after Japan withdrew from the League. When Japan was accused of aggression or of being aggressive, Hitler did not see any help from the League to Germany. Instead, the League was only punishing Germany. Hitler was also still bitter with Germany's defeat and hostility from the terms of the Versailles Treaty. There was still bitterness in Adolf Hitler and in Germany as a whole, and Hitler hoped to one day make Germany a power that once again dominated the world. Remember, at the First World War, or at the beginning of First World War and during the First World War, Germany was a dominant power in Europe, and also many countries were spending more on their armaments than they had been before the First World War. This also made Hitler to withdraw Germany from the League. Instead of other countries disarming, they were tripling the funding for their armament. The failure of disarmament in the 1930s, resolutions produced included prohibition of bombing civilian populations, reduce the size of weapons, and forbid chemical warfare. Germans had been in the League for 6 years, and the conference could not agree on how to handle Germany. For 6 years, Germany being a member, but the members of the League were not able to come up with an agreement on how to treat Germany. It was agreed that Germany should be treated fairly, just like other nations, and like under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which was only meant to deal harshly with Germany. There was a problem on whether everyone else was to disarm to the same level as Germany or to allow Germany to rearm. Number one, they could not disagree for over a period of 6 years on how to handle Germany. Number two, they agreed that Germany should be treated fairly like other nations. And number three, they were not able to come up with a resolution on whether other nations should disarm to the same level as Germany or allow Germany to rearm like the other nations. Number four, no other power seemed serious, or no other nation seemed to take serious the issue of disarmament. Number five, Britain and France were having divisions about disarming. For example, British felt that the Treaty of Versailles was unfair, and on the other hand, France wanted Germany severely punished. Britain was concentrating on rebuilding its trade. France wanted to see Germany weakened militarily, economically, so that Germany would not be able to wage an attack again against France. Also, each member focused on their own interest. And in 1930s, disarmament failure was used by Germany as an excuse for its rearmament. The failure of the disarmament conference in 1930s was taken advantage of by Germany, and Germany started rearming herself just like other nations. Questions? In what ways were each of the following blamed for the failure of the League? Check the questions, answer, and submit your assignment.